Robert Jebediah Freeman, the head of the Freeman household, has a way of turning opportunity into disaster. Whether he's gambling with his own freedom or putting Huey and Riley in risky situations for his own desires, Granddad shows how poor decisions can snowball into long-term struggles. In the Boondocks, he becomes a mirror of choices that are both personal and systemic. Choices that keep families trapped in cycles of debt, dysfunction, and misplaced priorities. His storylines are funny on the surface, but beneath the jokes lies something far heavier. Granddad's financial irresponsibility actually echoes the many struggles that happen in real life, in real families, every single day. Before we break it all down, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because here on Black Wealth Uncut, we dig into the culture, the history, and the stories that media, shows, and film expose about who we are and the world we live in. Let's get into it. Granddad's downfall always seems to begin with money he doesn't have, but insists on spending. From expensive dates with women half his age to credit cards, maxed out on flashy nonsense. His finances are a slow-motion train wreck. In the Boondocks Season 4, Episode 2, Good Times, this recklessness finally catches up to him in brutal fashion. After defaulting on loans to Ed Winkler II, Granddad learns the hard way what it means to owe money to a man who thrives on debt traps. Winkler seizes the Freeman house almost immediately, kicking Robert, Huey, and Riley out and filling the home with other tenants. What had been a symbol of Robert's retirement success vanishes in an instant, exposing how fragile his lifestyle really was. Desperate to stay afloat, Robert signs another contract with Winkler, without even glancing at the fine print. This time the loan comes with a staggering 150% interest rate, ballooning his debt into the millions. From there, things spiral further out of control. To prove he's serious about collecting, Winkler even dumps a corpse in the Freeman's garage, his way of reminding Granddad that failure to pay doesn't just bring financial consequences, but life-threatening ones. Robert, still clinging to the hope he can work his way out, takes a humiliating job washing cars for Uncle Ruckus. He works himself into exhaustion, only to be fired without pay by the end of the same day. Every attempt at fixing the situation only digs the hole deeper. Huey, the only one who sees the bigger picture, points out what has really happened. By signing Winkler's contracts, Robert has essentially sold himself and his family into slavery. Winkler controls their time, their home, and even their freedom of movement. The satire is exaggerated for television, but the parallels to real-world predatory lending are unmistakable. Payday loan stores, exploitative mortgages, and high-interest credit card schemes operate the same way, offering solutions that trap people in endless cycles of debt. Families who fall into these financial traps lose more than money. They lose stability, security, and sometimes even their homes. This episode simply shows what happens when years of bad habits collide with systemic exploitation. Collapse. The Boondocks takes that collapse to the extreme by turning debt into literal bondage. But the larger message is clear. Financial traps remain one of the most powerful tools of control in modern life. Granddad's financial ruin in Good Times showed how reckless spending and predatory loans can destroy a household. To make things worse, his chase for quick money doesn't stop at bad contracts. It even shapes how he responds to injustice. Rather than fighting for dignity, Granddad often treats hardship as a chance to get paid. This becomes painfully clear in Season 2, Episode 11, The S Word, where Riley's teacher calls him the N-word in class. It's a moment that could have sparked a movement about racism in schools, but Granddad shows little real concern for how the slur affects his grandson. Instead, he sees an opportunity for financial gain.
Ignoring Huey's warning that the lawsuit is motivated by selfishness, Granddad teams up with the opportunistic Reverend Rollo Goodlove. Together, they launch a media campaign, turning Riley's humiliation into a payday scheme. They appear on talk shows, with Goodlove dominating debates against Ann Coulter, while Granddad basks in the attention and dreams of cash settlements. The fight shifts quickly from defending Riley's dignity to securing the Freeman family's compensation. Riley's pain is background noise. The spotlight and the possibility of money take center stage. As the case drags on, it becomes clear that the school district won't deliver the payout Granddad craves. The teacher is punished with only a short suspension and sensitivity training. No lawsuit money is awarded, and the family walks away empty-handed. At that moment, Granddad doesn't reflect on how he failed to protect or uplift Riley. He doesn't show frustration that racism in schools went unaddressed. Instead, he laments the lost financial opportunity and clings to the belief that Goodlove will get rich for sure the next time. The hypocrisy is sharp. Granddad boasts of being a man of dignity, a civil rights veteran who fought for freedom. But when a real injustice strikes his own family, he cheapens it into a hustle. The Boondocks uses this episode to show how the pursuit of money and exposure can corrupt genuine struggles. In Granddad's world, success is measured in settlement checks and TV airtime, not in protecting his grandson or advancing real change. The lesson is clear. When material gain takes priority over integrity, even the most serious struggles can be turned into shallow performances. Granddad's money chase in The S Word showed how he could turn even his grandson's pain into a hustle. But the issue actually runs deeper than greed. Robert Freeman often talks about his past as if it grants him moral authority. He proudly calls himself a civil rights veteran, a man who marched and fought for dignity. He brags about being a war hero and constantly reminds Huey and Riley of the discipline and values he supposedly represents. Yet, when his actions are put to the test, that image collapses. The satire lands because Granddad embodies how success and identity can be twisted by ego, vanity, and materialism. We see this from the show's very first episode, the garden part. Instead of sparking serious reflection, the rich guests treat it as if it were merely a performance. Huey realizes that wealth insulates them from caring about uncomfortable truths. Granddad, rather than standing behind his grandson's honesty, frets that Huey will ruin his chance to fit in with the Wunklers. His concern for appearances outweighs his supposed commitment to dignity and principle. Meanwhile, Riley finds himself upstairs with Ed Wunkler III, who casually shows off his arsenal of weapons and dares Riley to shoot him. When Riley does, Ed is blasted out of a second-story window, only to pop up unharmed and repeat his catchphrase. The chaos at the party underscores how reckless and absurd this wealthy world is. But Granddad still chooses to prioritize acceptance in it. Even after the shooting, he nervously approaches Ed Wunkler Sr. to apologize, fearing that the incident has destroyed his reputation. Instead, Wunkler brushes it off, pouring drinks and toasting with Granddad like nothing happened. The satire here is layered. Granddad's desperation to appear respectable in front of white elites blinds him to what's really happening around him. His grandsons are either dismissed for telling the truth or pulled into dangerous situations by reckless privilege. Rather than confront these realities, Robert clings to the illusion of fitting in. The episode sets the tone for his character across the series, valuing image over substance, validation over principle, and acceptance from the powerful over support for his own family. The same contradiction plays out in Season 1, Episode 9, Return of the King. In this alternate history, Martin Luther King Jr. survives the 1968 assassination attempt, but falls into a coma, only to wake up in the year 2000. What he finds shocks him. He quickly learns that his philosophy and calls for accountability no longer resonate in a society consumed by entertainment, consumerism, and empty celebrity culture. His attempts to re-enter public life fail. His biopic flops. His media appearances are ridiculed. And his message of compassion, even toward America's enemies, only makes him an outcast. King's disillusionment reaches its peak when he tries to form a new political movement with Huey's help. But the effort is sabotaged by shallow marketing and pop culture distractions, turning what should have been a rally into a nightclub-like party filled with... But through it all, Granddad's reaction is telling. Instead of standing alongside King's message or reflecting deeply on the challenge presented, Robert retreats into his usual concern for appearances and comfort. Earlier, When King first stays at the Freeman house, Robert shows off his own role in the civil rights era, reminding anyone who will listen that he marched too. Yet when a living king appears, disappointed with the state of things, Granddad does not rise to the occasion. He shrinks, more concerned with how he is perceived than with what the moment demands. This gap between Granddad's proud self-image as a freedom fighter and his unwillingness to embrace accountability exposes the satire at the heart of his character. He wants the credit of a legacy without the burden of living up to it. And in that contradiction, the show asks its hardest question. How many of us are guilty of clinging to the appearance of respect while avoiding the substance of responsibility? That behavior greatly affects his personal life, especially when it comes to relationships. Granddad often talks about wanting companionship and respect, but the women he pursues reveal how shallow his desires really are. Instead of seeking someone who actually challenges him to grow, he gravitates toward those who just boost his ego or give him the illusion of status. This plays out clearly in Season 1, Episode 3, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. In this episode, Granddad meets Cristal, a 20-year-old stripper, at the grocery store, and is immediately flattered by her attention. She praises him, flirts with him, and quickly secures a date. From the beginning, it's obvious what she's after. She openly flashes cash, makes suggestive comments, and later pressures him into buying her things. Huey and Riley recognize instantly that she is using Granddad, but he refuses to listen. Instead, he convinces himself he's still smooth and desirable, clinging to the idea that a young woman would be genuinely interested in him. As their relationship drags on, the red flags pile up. Cristal drinks straight from the carton, disrespects the boys, constantly spends Robert's money, and keeps ducking suspicious men in flashy suits. Huey even gathers evidence, photos of her paying a pimp, running from the police, and working at a strip club, to prove the truth. But even then, Granddad denied
reality, choosing to believe Cristal's flimsy excuses over his grandson's warnings. His delusion finally collapses when a pimp named Slickback shows up at the Freeman house, and Cristal admits that he is, in fact, her pimp. The episode ends with Cristal literally chasing Slickback's car down the street, leaving Granddad behind. Yet Robert still sits at home convinced she will return, clinging to the fantasy instead of facing the truth. The satire lands because it shows how badly Granddad craves validation. He wants to believe he's still attractive and relevant, and that desire blinds him to what everyone else can clearly see. His hunger for the image of success, being with a beautiful young woman, matters more to him than self-respect, even when the relationship humiliates him in front of his family. That same insecurity returns in Season 3, Episode 13, The Lovely Ebony Brown. Ebony is everything Granddad says he wants. A kind, beautiful, successful black woman who genuinely cares for him. She runs a nonprofit that cures a rare disease, volunteers overseas to help flood victims, and treats Robert with love and respect. Even Uncle Ruckus, who hates nearly every black woman, admits Ebony is extraordinary. But instead of appreciating her, Granddad sabotages the relationship. He grows paranoid that she's too good for him, stalks her, and convinces himself she must be unfaithful. When she breaks things off, it isn't because of her flaws. It's because Robert's insecurities make the relationship toxic. Despite all his talk about loneliness, he destroys the one healthy partnership he ever had. Through these episodes, the Boondocks paints Granddad as a man constantly undermined by his own selfishness. He wears the mask of dignity, but behind it lies fear, vanity, and desire. That mask is the point of the satire, a warning about how easily people perform success, instead of building it honestly. And in asking us to watch Granddad fall short, the show forces us to ask, what does it really mean to make it? And how often do we trade integrity for appearances? Granddad's storylines may be wrapped in comedy, but they cut deep because they reflect patterns that keep people stuck. His reckless spending mirrors the trap of predatory lending, where short-term desires lead to long-term bondage. His empty boasts about success expose how easy it is to wear the mask of dignity while neglecting the real work of building stability. And his refusal to accept accountability leaves the burden on the next generation, forcing Huey and Riley to grow up faster than they should. Many families fall into the same cycle, borrowing money without fully understanding the terms, chasing validation through appearances, or avoiding hard truths until the damage spreads to everyone around them. Just like Granddad, people often measure success by the image they present rather than by the foundation they build. And just like Huey and Riley, children too often carry the consequences of adults' unresolved mistakes. But the genius of the Boondocks is how it shows these truths through laughter. By exaggerating Granddad's flaws, the show reminds us that the mistakes we dismiss as just bad decisions can grow into traps that hold entire households back. The challenge it leaves us with is simple: either break the cycle or keep reliving it. Thank you for watching this breakdown of the Boondocks. If you found value in the analysis, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next one. Here on Black Wealth Uncut, we tell the stories that reveal why culture, history, and money are always connected.